Oh yeah, that's
There we go.
for folks later on. So anyway, so Rachel, you have been to Costa Rica before.
And let's see, you're muted right now. It should find it in the lower left-hand corner.
There we go.
Hi. Yes, I've been there. I was there a couple of years ago with a group called One Global Yoga.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was a great experience. The one issue that I had, but this is probably unique to me, is some of the winding roads were a little bit a lot for me, just in terms of a little bit of motion sickness. So that was just something that I did want to ask about in terms of where we're going to be located, um, and how the roads are.
Okay, very good. Rachel, can you tell us where you were when you were there before?
This is a good question, and I feel sort of embarrassed because,
I'm the same
uh,
way, Rachel.
well, thank you. Whoever just said that. I can't see anybody but myself right now, which is a little bit weird. Um, so
Rachel, if
yeah,
you just before you answer the question, do you know in the upper there's like little boxes at the top of the screen, and if you click on the one that's got like the nine boxes like a Rubik's cube, that will maybe give you an image of everybody.
In the upper
okay.
right corner,
And
there's
it
a
says side by side gallery or
Shoot,
that.
yeah, up in that area there should be, and even side by side gallery is probably better, but at least choose the one with more than one.
Hide self view. How's that? Does that help?
I still see you. I don't know if you can see us.
I can't see you guys. Let's see. Side by side gallery. Let's try that. Okay, I can see you on the side.
Okay,
Gotcha.
it should say show grid video typically. Anyway, don't worry about it. As long as you can get some image and we can see you. Okay, so
Okay.
I didn't mean to interrupt. Other than that.
That's okay, but I'm really embarrassed because I don't really know where I was. I went with a friend. I'm sort of a little bit geographically, challenged. I go on
Uh,
these things, but I don't know quite where I was located, but I did have a really good time.
Okay. Well, as you know, when you travel to in many other countries, although I've been in some crazy roads in this country, so
Yes.
yeah, there are winding roads. Where we will be going is that you will come into the main airport, the international. There's a couple of international airports, but the main one in San Jose, center part in the mountainous area, and then
Yes.
it's reasonable. The road's reasonable to go to Jaco, which is on the Pacific coast. I mean, there's some turns and things, but it's a paved road and it's principally two lane most of the way, not all of the way. But
Right.
it's a very nice road. The only
That's
really
good.
windy, super windy part is when we go to Manuel Antonio, and it's just a short couple of miles because we have to go up a mountain and down a mountain. And that's just the one that is windy. And typically, we've had some people that are motion get really disturbed by that. And so we have them typically sit in the front. They can sit up with the driver
Okay.
or they can sit, one row back. And if we have two vehicles or one, that's usually very helpful because it's often in the back of the vehicle where it is the worst.
Absolutely. That's true. And they were kind enough to do that for me because I got a little bit sick. We were up in the mountains, somewhere in the mountains.
Okay, so perhaps I'm thinking maybe Monte Verde or something like that, if that name rings a bell.
It kind
Um,
of does, but I can't be certain.
okay, yeah, because the cloud forest, anything like that, if that you remember. Okay, that's all right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
probably because I was thinking initially Nicoya Peninsula, but again, a lot
Yeah.
of yoga retreats are done there. But Hako is kind of the surfing area, and it's nice because it's centrally located and it's in the jungle. But it's a little arts community and surfing community. So
Nice.
for those of you who are now on and listening, we're just asking some general questions, and Rachel had been there before, so she was offering some perspective. So then we have an excursion that we would do also where we take a vessel, a catamaran, over to Tortuga Island. And that's so, some people get motion sickness on the water. So, that's another thing to keep in mind. But that's fine because, you can put the little patches on, or you can take some, something if that was a bothersome. But the nice thing about all of this is it's a full experience of what it's like to be in one of the richest, and really Costa Rica ranks as, but for its size, because it's relatively small, as the richest environmentally diverse place on the planet, in terms of different species and that's why a lot of research is done there. And unfortunately, there's a lot of interest now in trying to, I shouldn't even say that, but my point being, the pharmaceutical industry very interested in all of the natural things to figure out how they can manipulate them for their financial gain. And so they're looking at Costa Rica for some of those things, because it is such a unique place. And so far, Costa Rica has maintained a great deal of its own pristine nature because it sees this kind of visitation from folks from around the world is very beneficial to it maintaining its integrity. So it has a lot of national parks, and it is very particular about what you do in those parks. So you can't just go and do anything you want. And so, Rachel, you may have experienced some of that before, especially up in the cloud forest, if that's where you were. Monteverde also is quite keen on maintaining the integrity of that. So Costa Rica itself is made up of many little microclimates. So you can have the snow-capped peaks, the volcanoes, the cloud forests. You've got the jungle, the beach areas, and then pretty much everything you can imagine is there in the country. And so it's not a huge, you don't have to travel too far to have these experiences, and then to have the experiences with the wildlife also. So as we go, if there are any questions people have, please feel free to ask. And you can say, well, these are interesting pictures. This is kind of a nice little picture of what it's sort of like in the Tortuga Island area. You have this jungle coming right down to the coast. It's on the Pacific side. You get folks coming in this case, different vessels. Some of these are, mostly, I think, just private vessels doing that. A few of them have let some people off on the beach. But it's so beautiful, and the water is so nice and warm. And so then there are hikes. So starting with, this is where, when folks arrive, we kind of wanted to have a place at the beginning and the end where people could just not feel like they're rushed. One of the things in the past, I always like personally to have time. So I don't have to feel like, oh, I've got to get up really early and run to the airport and get on a plane for a long flight. So we like to set it up so you get to come in and you kind of acclimate. And so we'll be staying, when you arrive at this hotel. It's a newer hotel on the left, the Hilton La Sabana. So it's a beautiful hotel, and it's right near their national stadium for soccer, and it's also the largest park is across the street, the largest metropolitan park, which is also worth a walk around. It could take quite a number of days to actually walk around it, but nonetheless, it's there, literally across the street. So we thought, folks coming in, depending upon the flights and that kind of thing, that they would be able to land. We get you taken by taxi to the hotel, and then you will relax and have that. You'll have your food and everything that you want, and can just enjoy. And you can go and look at this online if you want to see pictures of what it's like inside. I've given you one here, but they're beautiful vista views of the mountains surrounding. As I say, we're in the highlands here, and of the city itself. It's short ride into it's 10 minutes to take a cab into the city center if you want. This is just kind of on the periphery, on the west edge or east edge of town. So yes, so that's where we would land, and then that's where we will come back to before you depart as well on the after 9 day. I guess what is this? 7 and 7 to 1? Yeah, 9 days total. So first and last day would be spent here at this hotel, and the 9 days in between would be spent here. And so this is a very different setting in the sense that you're on a mountain on the slope of a mountain in the Hako area. And it is jungle around you, which means there are lots of creatures and lots of wonderful flora and fauna to go with it. This is the pool that is at the site, and it's one of my favorite pools in the world that I've ever been to. It's just fantastic setting. The monkeys come down regularly, and that's one of the things. You just be in the pool or hanging out on the edge, and you can see the monkeys. We've had iguanas swim through, and you get the frogs at night who would love to hang out there too. And then we get the toucans and a variety of other birds that like to also play in this area. So we have this, which is available to us. And then the grounds themselves, and I don't know, I haven't looked at all. Well, I have looked at the pictures, but let me just see what's next. Okay, that's back to the city for a moment. But let's come back to this. So here on this site, there's many acres of which there are walkways around, and so we typically I like to sort of encourage just people having chances to stroll. Much of the produce that's used in the food is grown here on site. So the owner, he and his sister, they are very much interested in healthy agriculture. So they like to grow a lot of the fruit and some of the vegetables, and then that gets served to you. So we have that 2 meals a day that are provided at this. And then we also have the yoga retreat. There's a spa here too. So if folks are interested in taking advantage of some of those can be arranged also. The short distance to the town, you can walk it in about, I say 12 to 15 minutes. You can bicycle it in 5, and you can take a cab in about 3 minutes. So it's easy to do that. And it's kind of a pleasant walk. There's one main highway you cross, but other than that, it's a very nice location. And so let's go continue. So coming back to the last day, we returned back to San Jose. This is just their opera house, which is worth a tour if anyone is interested. But it's a historic structure, and it's just kind of fun to take advantage of that. But the idea here is that you have this opportunity to relax at both ends, then to have a relaxation in the middle, along with a nice program that helps one to reorient and just be super healthy. So here is the studio itself at Dos Lunas and Hako. And so beautiful banks of windows. We come up the stairs from below, and then inside. We do have the ability to heat and cool it depending upon what the temperature is like. But generally speaking, it's like the perfect temperature. And the time we're there is one of the ideal times in that late February, March, because it's a transition time. And so it's not the rainy season, and it's not super hot. It's just ideal. And of course, we're moving into that spring time as well. So the days are longer. And but this is what a sample day would be like. We get up in the morning, and we don't like to, the whole thing about the sun comes up and the creatures start to rise. And so typically, you start to wake up too, but we don't get up too early. So now I don't know, I saw Giovanni and Brajna talk about, what that is. But we do, you kind of rise with the sun like nature, right? And then we do some practice, and then we have breakfast, and there's a break. And then there's an Ayurveda workshop. There's some free time. Then we have an afternoon little activity, more free time, and then dinner. And then after dinner, whatever. So I'm not sure if there's a picture, but the actual place that we eat is below here. So the kitchen and the dining area all below here. It's all covered, but it is outside. So one of the nice things about that is you have the free flow of the different creatures and things. And so I've actually been in there before. It's kind of fun to see. You see butterflies fly through, and sometimes iguanas will walk by. The monkeys hang out in the trees. And so it's, again, you're part of what's going on in the natural world. Don't worry about bugs because they take very good care about keeping having things that are burning and that to keep them out. And of course, I encourage certain kinds of non-toxic insect repellent, which is made in Eugene. So if anyone's curious about that, I've tested it all over the world and I swear by it. It's called Buzz Away. Maybe you know of it or have seen it. So yes, so that's kind of the sample day. And then we have the I mentioned two of the activities. There's the other two which will be listed. Well, maybe they're listed here. Let me just keep going and see. So excursion one, yeah, Manuel Antonio. So one of the interesting things about Manuel Antonio is it is like, I think, their foremost national park. It is very popular. Um, and you get to see, if you're fortunate on your excursion there, you will see a variety of creatures, both the 2- and 3-toed sloths, and they're usually quite active and this time of the year. And we go in the morning early so we can see them. They're also, it's home to howler monkeys, capuchins, and then the little tiny monkeys, which I'm escaping me their name right now. So you often will see those. Typically we get lucky and we see bats. We might see some anteaters. If you know the the snake, I'm trying to think now. The one snake that I'm always just fascinated by, it's poisonous. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. But we often get a chance to see one, and it's really quite interesting because you think that like these little creatures are just kind of sleeping, and we happen to be walking by them. Uh, and the guys are very good about pointing them out. But we've also seen spiders changing the big spiders, the ones that they do a lot of research on because their web is so strong, it's as strong as steel, that they actually, we've seen one, we have a great video of it, probably should post that, of one changing its skin, coming out. And so it's quite fascinating, again, the kinds of things that you might see. Last year, when I had a little group there, I got to see, the morpho butterfly, the big blue butterfly. There were several of them that were out, and they're very unique and hard to actually ever really see unless you happen to be in a particular pristine place. So we got to see several of those, and that was quite exciting. Then you have the crocodiles as well, and a variety of other creatures that we might catch a glimpse of. So that's an all-day adventure, and we have that, and we go to the beach that is there, and here's some capuchin monkeys hanging out, and they're such characters that I have a picture, a painting from Costa Rica in my study that I'm in right now of these guys. So yeah, and then here's the beach on one side. So it's a peninsula. So there's beaches on both sides. We have a beach to the south and a beach to the north. And then there's this nice walk all the way around, which a lot of folks take advantage of doing at the same time. So it's immensely inviting, and it's never overcrowded. So that's one of the other beautiful things. The park restricts how many people go in, what they're able to bring in. So we always establish it. We have guides, and yeah, so just a marvelous opportunity for that. Then this is Tortuga Island, named for tortoise, and you can kind of look at it and say, oh, it looks kind of like a tortoise shell. And so we take the catamaran out for that, and that's about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Last year, we were very fortunate to see a number of whales, and they were just migrating right by and through, just a short distance from our vessel. And so that was quite exciting. So we actually stopped the vessel and just enjoyed watching the whales during their migration. So here again, you can hike around the island. There are trails to take. We spend time at the beach, all-day excursion again. So there are many things you could do once we're there. So you can do the hike for one, which is typically one. You can go swimming. There are opportunities to go snorkeling. They'll take you out to a smaller little islands where they have some reefs and things. There's actually a sunken vessel out there too. You can enjoy that. They do have some other entertainment. If any of you are into the banana boat thing, and that's usually an option that someone's got going on out there, and everybody can partake of that as they desire. But full meal is provided. Yeah, so and there are facilities on the island, in the sense, not hotels, but there's facilities. They have a couple of shops and things like that, but they're porta potties, so it's not commercialized in your traditional sense. So keeping in mind that we're still out in a jungle atmosphere. Here again, one of the areas where we typically are with the catamaran and the company that we use, we're just below this area on the beach. So it's one of the nicest parts, because it's protected and it's also removed from a lot of the other traffic that may be coming around. And then we have a couple of local things to do. Miro Mountain, which is one of the locals' favorite places to hike to, and then with views up there. So we would have a guide who would walk with folks, and that's, again, a couple of hours to go up and back. And so we thought that it would be nice for folks to have this opportunity, again, to stretch the legs, to get out, to be amongst nature, and to enjoy something that the locals like to do. And then there's a Hako art walk. And I love to take pictures of art in communities. And Hako, because of the artistic nature of it, there's just so many interesting things that get painted, murals all over and things like that. So this is one of the images that was taken from the past. And this little art walk will take you to see this, but you might even poke into some of the little galleries that are in town. And they make wonderful things, whether you're into the actual art itself, you're into ceramic, you're into jewelry. A lot of different folks from Costa Rica have set up shop or make available things that they make in other parts of the country present in Hako. So, and I find it quite reasonably priced myself as well. It's not like hugely expensive. So if something catches your eye, you might say, oh, I'd like to take advantage and maybe get that. So that's something else that we wanted to integrate into this for the 7 days in the Hako dos Lunas area. So what the retreat includes, and this is a picture of Hako Beach, which is a very nice long beach. I believe it's about I'm going to say a mile and a half. So wonderful if one wants to stroll into town and then walk along the beach, go into the water. You will see surfers out there pretty much any time of the year doing their thing. And if you are interested in surfing, we've had many individual go out for lessons and then go back and set that up over the period of time. So that's available too. But what the retreat includes is as I've mentioned, we've got the 9 nights of lodging, 2 nights at the Hilton La Sabana in San Jose, the 7 nights at Dos Lunas. Transportation is covered for you once you get there. You don't have to worry about any of that. If you do decide you want to go into Hako, on your own, you can, as I say, take the bicycles, you can walk, or you can get a taxi, and it's a couple dollars for a taxi ride. So it's not, not expensive. And they just arrange that for you at the retreat center. So we've got the round trip ground transportation. So wherever we are, we'll make sure you get to and from there. We say the concierge travel support from the Women Warrior Academy, which means that if you want to help booking tickets, we can help you with that to get to and from San Jose. Anything else you want to extend your stay there, that is also available to you. As well, and we can use myself to help you with that. We also have another travel person who has here in Boise who can assist as well. There are 2 meals daily that are provided. We find that 2 is sort of the optimal because we're on a kind of a wellness kind of orientation to help reorient. So sometimes the food gets to be too much. So we try to make sure that we have it at 2. So we don't start off too early with something. And there's always little snacks. So if you're thinking like, well, I need to have a little something. Well, those are always available. So don't feel like, oh my gosh, there's no food if there's time. So I've been to some places like that. But so there's always something available to you. But we have 2 main meals that we're providing each day. And generally speaking, you might find that in the morning, it can be more of a, you'll go in and it'll be set up in a buffet setting. Not always. Sometimes it's just straight off the menu, plated. Dinners are typically plated. So, but it just depends upon what is going on at the time. Okay. Now, when we go to Manuel Antonio, there will be, generally speaking, there's actually 3 meals that day because there's a meal. You get a little box meal to take with you. You have to eat it before you go into the park because they won't let you bring it in. We have a lunch on the way out, and then you would have a dinner when you come back. So that's an exception to the rule there. Yes. Daily strength training, yoga and meditation. So we want to make sure that, again, we're giving you an opportunity to refresh, rejuvenate, and restore your own well-being. And then we have the daily empowerment workshops, of which, Prajna and Satyavani can speak to those. Complimentary laundry for yoga athletic wear. So yeah, so each day, if your things get really wet, or you want to wash them, that's provided for you at the site. 2 full-day excursions: Manuel Antonio National Park, Tortuga Island, 2 local experiences: the Mural Mountain and the Jaco Street Art Walk, and then plenty of free time to, as we say, to explore, connect, and simply be. The the one thing about these, as when I help to organize them, is I like to make sure there's plenty of free time, because so often you're on these things where you feel like, oh, I have to go, go, go. And what's the point of that? That's what you do in your regular life, right? So we want to make sure that these are the things where we're actually allowing for the restoration and the reorienting of back to what it's like to be in a natural setting and to feel, once again, rejuvenated, healthy, and restored. So what's not included, and here we have our little image of on the south side of town, your round trip airfare there. So that's the one you'd have to do on your own. Gratuities, of which, I typically suggest that for the gratuities there on the site, I think generally speaking, it's I always say people just kind of plan for like $100, and then you can decide between you have a wait staff, the kitchen crew, then you can something you want to provide to the housekeeping, and then the drivers for the excursions, or the guides on the excursions. So, and I could be more specific about that later, but generally speaking, $100 is sufficient. And you just say, okay, I'm going to divide that up amongst all the people that I come into contact with. Personal expenses, again, if you're interested in something. And, if there's alcohol or special food that you want to buy that's outside of the menu and the things that are provided, then that's something else that you need to take advantage or be responsible for. And then we've listed the cost at this $39.99 per person for double occupancy room. And we're asking for that deposit by November 1st to just secure your space. And I think now it's time for our toucans to listen to you.
And I do just want to add, before any questions, that the way Michael works with the individuals in Costa Rica, and I mean, I've traveled with Michael once, and I can attest to his ability to just create a great experience for everybody. He really does. You do just a masterful job of, again, creating that open, free time for people. And yes, we have our things that we're going to do, but it really, spending in India for 3 weeks, it was a game changer for me. And it was just such a great experience. So Michael just does such a great job of organizing everything. So one, thank you for doing that, Michael. And two, just rest assured that you're in really good hands, because he really sets it up really well with the people who are locally there. So, yeah.
Well, thank you, Prashna. And yeah, what we don't want to is, for some folks who maybe haven't traveled so much, we want to make sure that you don't feel like, oh my God, what do I do? I'm in a foreign country. I don't speak the language. And I don't really know the ways around. So that we always make sure that you have contact information. You can get a hold of us. We're always on site before. so we can make sure that you know, you're not like left out there like, where do I go? What do I do? That you
Uh-huh.
like, I can reach out to someone and do that. And that's helpful to know because, you know, we've had, you know, in the past, you know, if, you know, where folks are like a little like, oh my gosh, what is this all about? So we
Mhm.
make sure that they're like, yeah, here's the way so that it's just very straightforward, very easy, and you don't ever feel like, oh boy.
Well, even like my parents going to India, they're like, "You're going to India?" And I'm like, "It's gonna be fine. Like, I'm in good hands. It's gonna be great." And yeah, absolutely no worries. So there, yeah, any questions that came up with any of that? Hmm.
I have a question about the schedule. Um, there weren't any times put on the schedule. Maybe that's deliberate, but I was curious, is it like 9 o'clock breakfast from this time to this time, or is yoga from this to this, or is it sort of figured out as we go along, or how does that work?
That's a great question, Rachel. So typically, I like to suggest that we start the yoga in the morning, you know, 7:30. And the reason for that is that nature's awakening down there at that time. The sun is going to be up, and so nature's getting up, and so it's just really nice. Then breakfast is typically after that. We flow. So if we're finding that folks are like, oh, you know, we want to make some changes, then we can change it. But that
Okay.
time of the 7 to 7:30 is really nice. Now some people say, oh, I've got to do earlier, but you know, again, this depends. Well, maybe you want to get up. We have people walk down to the beach in Hako, or they walk around the grounds, or they just go get a coffee or a tea in the restaurant and sit. There's many places to sit. One can go to the pool and do their thing. So everybody will have a veranda as well and their place there to sit, so you'll be able to go outside. You don't have to feel like, oh, I'm cooped up inside. I can actually go outside, experience it. um, so the times will be we'll have a schedule, but the schedule is not like, you know, I mean, of course, we want, you know, to have a schedule just so we can
Yeah.
together, but it won't be like it's set in stone. We never change things, and it's like this. So we flow. I mean, this is part of being with nature, right? If it's really rainy one day, then you know we may make some adjustments about what we do. I mean,
Yeah.
you're right. And so, you know, we get electrical storms. Power sometimes goes out. I mean, these are all interesting things that go on, right? I mean, we've had just, you know, all sorts of things in the past when in traveling. That, you know, we were trapped in Nepal this last time when, as Pragna was just saying, when we were delayed for many hours because of the storms that had come through
Yeah.
in the Himalayas. And so we had to roll with it, right? But we managed it and everything is fine. So that just comes with the territory. But as I say, there will be a schedule. Typically 7:30 is the time to begin with the yoga. And then we get done and then we have a nice little time, you know, for lunch or breakfast, brunch. I call it just brunch, but whatever you want to characterize it. And then, you know, then there's the, you know, free time as was listed, and then some time for a session, and then, you know, go on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well,
I don't
thank
know.
you.
Does that give you a sense? I know I sort of answered it, but at the same time, there is a schedule, but it's not like I say, you know, to where it's like, oh, I'm in a class, you know, I have my school class. It's like, I must switch every 45 minutes, and yeah, and I have only 10 minutes in between. No, it's not like that.
Okay, but you'll let us know, like, okay, at 10, we need to be at this place, or
Absolutely. And we can
like
put
just,
that, if you want to see something that's out, we can put something more than what was here a moment ago. I mean, I can just back up to that kind of
it
day.
doesn't have to be, just as long as I get a sense of how it works.
Yeah. And it's just, you know, to keep people comfortable, right? Here's the little schedule, you know. So the morning
Yeah.
fitness and meditation. Typically we start 7 to that 7:30. And then I like to think about it as being roughly an hour and a half. And then we go and we have some free times, like maybe go back to change, or you want to go right to breakfast. Depends upon
Yeah.
what you're wanting to do. So then we would say, let's say we go 7:30. let's just say 7 to 8:30. Okay, then we have, then we say, well, breakfast is from 9 to 10 or 9 to 10:30. And then, okay, 9, that's an hour and a half, wonderful. Maybe 2 hours. Then we have a break. Then there's an Ayurvedic workshop that may start at 11, 11:30. This depends upon the time again. But
Okay.
this will get specified in terms of a schedule. But the idea here is so that you don't feel like, oh, I'm on the clock. I don't have any downtime to just do something I want to do. And like, say you want to go and take a surf lesson. Well, you need to kind of have a couple of hours to be able to do that. Or you want to go into town and walk the beach. So we're allowing for that to make sure. And then we just say, well, we'll set a time for an afternoon yoga stretch to come back. And that's
Okay.
probably 4:30 or 5, and then maybe there's more free time, and then we have dinner at 6:30 or 7, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. And I also appreciate the flexibility. I think sometimes with traveling, at least for me, part of what can make me feel sick is when it's really rushed. So having, the stay at the hotel before and after, I think can alleviate some of that. Because when you go right from the airplane and then you're on the road and you're going through winding and your stomach isn't really settled from all the previous activity, I think it can make a difference to have a moment just to regroup. So I appreciate that very much.
Good.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Rachel. And
Yeah,
yeah,
thank you.
All right. Any other questions that come up? Amber's nodding her head. No. It's quite really 9 days in paradise. It's pretty nice.
so if you're looking for, like, what makes, again, it's so unusual is, as I say, biodiversity is so phenomenal there. And when you're immersed in it, it's such a different way of being. And then you add the food, and I always we used to love the avocados that they grow locally, the bananas, I mean, those are like two of my favorites. So they have the tortillas. I mean, all of these things that are just part of their natural food, that they're used to eating, that we don't really get here. Or if we get it, it's somehow processed in different ways, and it's not quite the same in terms of its flavor or its taste. Um, the papaya, is unbelievable, and again, it just, but that's what you get in tropical environments, right? And especially those that appreciate having the natural foods. But if you like nature, then I think, it's a no-brainer. And then you couple that, because isn't yoga all about, I mean, yoga, as I always say, is life, and life in a natural way. And that's what you get when you do something like this in a place like this.
What is the level of yoga? Sorry, I feel like I'm the only one asking questions here. I hope it's not too much. Um, so yeah, what is the level of yoga and what type of yoga?
We're going to mix that up quite a bit. So the morning fitness and meditation could be anything from some sort of calisthenics. It could be some weightlifting, yoga, and there's always going to be like between like getting some qigong in there because Michael also teaches qigong as well. So you've got, I don't know, Michael, how long you've been doing yoga? It's got to be 20, 30 years, right?
20 some, yeah, so it's probably,
Yeah. So
okay.
That's
it's about
awesome.
20, 30 years. I've been coaching and teaching yoga now for coaching for about 20, teaching yoga for about 10. So we know a lot of modalities of yoga, um,
Awesome.
and fitness and training. So we're always going to make you feel like there's going to be modifications, that we're not thrusting you into something that you are not going to be comfortable with. So, I mean, we want
Okay.
it to be, you want to get the stuff burning in the mornings. You want to kind of get what we call that kapha burning in the morning, so it burns it off. And at the same time, we want it to be very, again, soothing, invigorating, not overwhelming and intense. So, yeah.
Okay. That sounds great.
Yeah. But we
Yeah.
really want a lot of variety for you. So you get lots of different options.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I did not have any questions, but this looks beautiful.
Yay.
It's wonderful.
Cool. Oh, Amber, no, was there anybody else online that we?
There was Laura. I wonder if she had to maybe drop off at like 3:30 or something.
Okay, all right. So anything else come to mind? You know, you can shoot any of us a note. If you've got the contact between Satyavani and Prajna, that is fine. If you have something in particular you want to send to me, you can reach out to me as well. You can reach out to one of them and ask. And some of you I know are in my class, my YTT class, so you can always ask there too. But this is, you know, as I say, if you, I love Costa Rica. It's one of the places I've traveled many times, and it's just a magical each time. So I think from the time you land until the time you depart, it's like, wow, phenomenal experience all the way around.
Now that you're seeing kind of what we do and what we're going to be doing on this trip, if there's, again, someone that you feel like, you know, I really think they might need this, or it would, you know, maybe they're intimidated by, you know, what might be involved and it's looking like it might be up their alley, let them know and be willing to share. We'd be willing to share the slides, and we'll give you the recording of this video or of this meeting. So, yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
thank
so
you guys.
yeah,
Sorry for
you're
being
all
in and out.
welcome, and thank you for taking the time out to kind of listen. And again, anything comes up, feel free to ask, to send a note, and we will be glad to offer additional perspective. But we hope to see you, you know, get you involved. And
Mhm.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the information. It was nice to meet you all also.
Yes, thank you, Rachel.
Thanks.
Yes, I've been telling
Sorry
Rachel
for
about
the
all of
sun.
you, but
What's that, Nicole?
I was just saying, I was telling Rachel. It's, I know, hard to describe people, easier to meet in person. So
Yes.
For sure. Thank you.
yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah. Amber, it was great to see you this morning.
It was really great to see you and get my butt kicked. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Love it.
All right.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
thank you all.
Bye.
Have a lovely
Gosh,
rest
thanks,
of your day.
Michael.
Bye bye, Nicole. I'll see you shortly, right?
Yes.